In 2014, director Antoine Fuqua took a 1980s television series with the same name and turned it into a three-movie classic. Robert McCall is the embodiment of blind justice, using calculated, precise, and absolutely merciless tactics to surgically demolish those seeking to do harm or kill the innocent. The movie begins with Quiet Intensity by Denzel Washington as Robert McCall. On the surface, McCall appears to be just another middle-aged man working the night shift at a Boston home improvement store. He's polite to customers, helpful to coworkers, and spends his evenings reading classic literature in an all-night diner. But this carefully constructed normalcy is a facade, hiding a past so dark and violent that McCall has spent years trying to bury it completely. The film reveals McCall's backstory in careful fragments. He was once a highly trained operative for the Defense Intelligence Agency, specializing in black operations that required him to eliminate targets with surgical precision. His work took him into the darkest corners of human conflict, where moral boundaries became meaningless, and violence was simply another tool in the toolkit. After years of this life, McCall made a promise to his dying wife that he would leave that world behind forever and try to become a better man. McCall's internal struggle forms the emotional core of the entire trilogy. He's a man haunted by the ghosts of his past, carrying the weight of countless lives he's taken in service of his country. His obsessive-compulsive tendencies, his rigid daily routines, his careful attention to timing, all of these behaviors represent his attempt to impose order on a psyche that has seen too much chaos. The books he reads, particularly the classics, serve as his attempt to connect with humanity's better angels, to find meaning and beauty in a world he knows can be incredibly ugly. But McCall's carefully maintained peace is shattered when he witnesses the brutal treatment of Alina, a young prostitute trapped in the web of Russian organized crime. Despite his vow to leave violence behind, McCall cannot stand by and watch innocent people suffer. This internal conflict drives him back into action, but with a crucial difference. Now he's not killing for his government or for money. He's killing to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The film's plot unfolds as McCall systematically dismantles the Russian crime organization piece by piece. His methods are calculated and terrifyingly efficient. He studies his targets, learns their routines, identifies their weaknesses, then strikes with overwhelming force. But what makes these sequences so compelling isn't just the choreographed violence, it's the way McCall approaches each confrontation as a moral equation that must be balanced. Director Antoine Fuqua brings a distinctive visual style to the proceedings, using slow motion, stark lighting, and meticulous attention to detail to emphasize McCall's methodical approach to justice. Every action sequence feels like a carefully orchestrated dance of death, with McCall as the conductor orchestrating each movement with mathematical precision. The first film was both a critical and commercial success, earning over $290 million worldwide against a modest $55 million budget.
What do you see when you look at me?
What do you see when you look at me?
Critics praised Washington's nuanced performance and Fuqua's direction, though some noted the film's extremely violent content. Audiences, however, embraced the character immediately, drawn to the idea of a protector who could make the world's bullies pay for their crimes. The film's ending provides a satisfying resolution while setting up future possibilities. McCall has accepted that he cannot completely escape his past, but he's found a way to use his deadly skills for a righteous cause. The final scene shows him posting an advertisement online, offering his services to those who have nowhere else to turn. The quiet man in the diner has become the Equalizer, a one-man army for justice. 4 years later, Antoine Fuqua returned to direct The Equalizer 2, once again working from a screenplay by Richard Wenk. This sequel, released in 2018, deepened the character study while expanding the scope of McCall's mission. The film opens with McCall working as a Lyft driver in Boston, using his mobile profession as a cover for his vigilante activities. The second film's plot centers around the murder of Susan Plummer, McCall's former handler and one of the few people who knew his true identity. When Susan is killed while investigating a suspicious murder-suicide in Brussels, McCall is forced to confront the possibility that his past has finally caught up with him. His investigation leads him to discover that corrupt elements within his former agency are responsible for Susan's death. This revelation strikes at the heart of McCall's identity crisis. The organization he once served with dedication has betrayed everything he believed in. The sequel explores themes of institutional corruption and the price of loyalty, forcing McCall to question not just his past actions, but the entire system that shaped him into a killer.
You need to be a gangster. You need to be a killer, Lil Yummy, huh? You need them. Okay.
Meanwhile, McCall has taken a mentoring role with Miles, a young artist from his neighborhood who is being pulled toward gang life. This relationship allows the film to explore McCall's desire for redemption through guidance and protection of the next generation. He sees in Miles a chance to prevent another young person from following the dark path he once walked. The film's climax takes place in McCall's childhood hometown during a massive hurricane, providing a metaphorically charged setting for the final confrontation with his former colleagues. The storm serves as both a physical obstacle and a symbolic representation of the chaos McCall has brought into the lives of those around him. Fuqua's direction in the sequel maintains the first film's methodical approach to action while adding layers of emotional complexity. The hurricane sequence is particularly impressive, using practical effects and careful cinematography to create a sense of apocalyptic reckoning. The Equalizer 2 performed well at the box office, earning over $190 million worldwide, though it received more mixed critical reviews than its predecessor. Some critics felt the plot was overly complicated, while others praised the continued development of McCall's character and Washington's committed performance. The film's ending suggests that McCall has found a measure of peace, having avenged Susan's death and helped Miles choose a better path. But it also reinforces that his work as the Equalizer is far from over. Justice, the film suggests, is not a destination but a continuous journey. The trilogy concluded in 2023 with The Equalizer 3, which marked a significant shift in both setting and tone. Director Antoine Fuqua returned for the third time, working with screenwriter Richard Wenk to bring McCall's story to what appears to be its final chapter. This installment takes the action to southern Italy, where McCall finds himself recovering from injuries sustained in a previous mission. The third film's plot is more intimate and personal than its predecessors. McCall finds himself in a small Sicilian town where he discovers a community under threat from local mafia forces. As he recovers from his wounds, he begins to form genuine connections with the townspeople, experiencing a sense of belonging he hasn't felt since his wife's death. But this peaceful interlude is threatened when the local mafia, led by a particularly vicious crime family, begins terrorizing the town for refusing to cooperate with their drug operations. Once again, McCall cannot stand by while innocent people suffer, but this time his motivation is more personal. These aren't strangers in need of help. They're people he's come to care about as family. The third film explores themes of aging, legacy, and the possibility of genuine redemption. McCall is older now, more reflective, and beginning to question whether his violent methods truly serve justice or simply perpetuate cycles of retribution. His relationship with Gio, a young carabiniere who represents the possibility of legitimate justice, forces him to consider whether there might be better ways to protect the innocent. The Italian setting provides a stunning backdrop for the film's exploration of community, tradition, and belonging. Fuqua uses the Mediterranean landscape to create a visual contrast between the beauty of the natural world and the ugliness of human corruption. The small town becomes a character, representing everything McCall has been fighting to protect throughout the trilogy. The film's climax is both the most violent and most emotionally resonant of the series. McCall's methodical dismantling of the crime family is presented not as righteous vengeance, but as a tragic necessity. Each death weighs heavily on his conscience, even as he recognizes that some people cannot be reasoned with or reformed. The Equalizer 3 earned over $190 million worldwide and received generally positive reviews from critics who praised its more contemplative approach to the character. Many noted that the film served as a fitting conclusion to McCall's journey, providing emotional closure while maintaining the series' commitment to practical action sequences. The film's ending is deliberately ambiguous about McCall's future. He has found a place where he belongs and people who accept him despite his violent past. But the final scene suggests that his work as the Equalizer continues, even in this peaceful setting. Justice, the trilogy ultimately argues, is not about finding perfect solutions, but about making difficult choices in an imperfect world. Throughout all three films, Robert McCall emerges as one of cinema's most complex action heroes. He's not driven by revenge or personal gain, but by an almost compulsive need to balance moral scales that were tipped by his own past actions. His photographic memory serves as both a blessing and a curse, allowing him to be extraordinarily effective in combat while ensuring that he can never forget the faces of those he's killed. McCall's struggles with his identity reflect broader questions about justice, redemption, and the price of peace. Can someone who has done terrible things ever truly atone for their past? Is violence ever justified in service of protecting the innocent? These philosophical questions elevate the Equalizer trilogy above simple action entertainment, creating a character study that resonates with audiences on a deeper level. The trilogy's success demonstrates the enduring appeal of stories about protectors who operate outside traditional systems of justice. In an era of increasing social and political uncertainty, McCall represents a fantasy of absolute moral clarity and the power to make meaningful change through direct action. The Equalizer trilogy stands as a remarkable achievement in contemporary action cinema, combining spectacular set pieces with genuine emotional depth. Through Robert McCall's journey from haunted operative to reluctant protector to community guardian, the films explore timeless themes of guilt, redemption, and the ongoing struggle between our better and worse angels. In a world that often seems chaotic and unfair, McCall offers the comforting promise that someone is watching, someone cares, and sometimes the scales of justice can be balanced through the actions of a single determined individual. Denzel is always the best at what he does. His performance is amazing, and Antoine Fuqua, as always, delivered great and difficult direction scenes, making the audience amazed at the skills and craft of Mr. McCall. This is number 1 on my top 10 favorite series films. Tell me in the comments if you like this one and why. Please, as always, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next movie.